Yo, people, welcome back to the YouTube channel. You already know what time it is. It's time for another episode of London Clubs Carnage. Lateness is greatness for Tobs, as always. Do you know what I'm saying? But we have a special guest in the building for today's episode. We'll start with him. Lead judges in the building. The first time Potts is away, there's an L on the board, but maybe not the worst weekend in the world still, Lee. How you doing, bro? You good? Welcome to the show.
Yeah, all good. Nah, not the greatest of weekends. I'm gonna be honest, but it could have been worse, lads. It could have been worse, So we move on from there, But yeah, other than that, all good. And 100%. I'll tell you what, Dan couldn't have picked a better time to go away, couldn't he? Really?
he picked that X marks the spot. Do you know what I'm saying? Literally, it's just got
unreal.
Got it so good. Yeah, Lawless, not a bad weekend for you either.
Not bad. Like I said, I'm a bit annoyed with Potts. I think he's a coward going on holiday when he knew that he was going to lose to Everton, and he's been smug all season. Yeah, he's been so smug, sitting there, that smug smile on his face, and he goes away when they lose. I don't care. Like if Arsenal go on some crazy run and like win their next few games, and he comes back, I'm not hearing it. We're talking about the Everton game with him. I don't care. I'm not letting him forget this. Yeah, he's been quiet as well. He's been so quiet on the beach somewhere.
Just tally it all up. Chalk it all up.
I'm saving it. I'm saving.
I'm sure
it.
I know you will.
Because I've been showing up every week. Yeah, stressed,
regardless,
dealing with the
in a relegation fight.
Yeah, see, like you said, we've got a good point this weekend.
No, 100%. Obviously, I've taken my point as well. For somehow I've managed to actually gain on some of the rivals. I don't even know if that is even actually I haven't, because Fulham are our rivals, Brentford as well, and Brighton have all got an extra 2 points on us this weekend. So
and you know what? I feel like even though you got a point, you kind of lost.
We did, in a sense, we basically lost as well. Yeah,
you kind of lost.
Obviously with the breaking news of what happened with Manchester City at the time of recording, by the time this comes out as well, you guys obviously would have already heard about the whole debacle at Manchester City. I mean, Lee, if you lost, we're going to get into the game in a minute, but if you win the title from this point and say City get like a 10-15 point deduction, which they very well could, and the rivals are going to try and add a little asterisk onto your title then, same as when Liverpool won it during the COVID year as well. But how do you want to win the title, or do you not care? Is it like you want Man City to kind of almost see the season out in a normal fashion, or do you just don't care? Imagine 15 points deducted, you're basically going to win it then from that point, in my opinion.
Well, yeah, but it makes it a little bit of a farce. They ain't going to get the points deducted this season and all that, So, listen, I think that we've all known this, haven't we? You know what I mean? And I don't know, I think you better at Stamford Bridge better brace yourselves, because it's coming your way and all you know what I mean? So, listen, I don't really know what's going to happen. A deduction of points, is that fair? Is that like, say for instance, Arsenal haven't challenged Man City realistically for the title over the period of this has been going on, So to deduct points this season and benefit us is a little bit unfair on the teams that have been challenging Man City over the last few years, i.e. Liverpool, Manchester United as well have challenged them and lost out, So for me, I think you've got to look at it and do it really fairly, and the way to do it is to I can't see if they are found guilty of it, and this then throw the book at them, relegation down to the
Championship.
League Two.
No,
League Two.
League Two.
No, seriously, because
Whoa.
I'll be honest, they've been cheating. They've been, why just one? You've got to make this a deterrent for other teams as well, and basically, they've been playing unfairly, haven't they? What I mean? And it's not right, and moralistically wise, it's not right. So I don't think that I don't think that they should be dock points this season. I think that come the end of the season, they need to be punished severely.
So do you? Because in an effect of a relegation, that means you would dock them usually a stupid amount of points to the point where there's no return, like maybe, I don't know, 50 points or whatever. But you're saying basically let them finish out this season. If they win the league under the circumstances that they're going to be relegated the following season, that would be insane. I don't think that's ever happened.
Yeah, but if you look at it, it's like if you dock them 50 points this season, just say they're going to get full. You know, they're capable of getting 90, 100 points in a season. So, you know, basically,
I don't think this City team are. I think
maybe not. But
yeah.
you know, in the past they've got that, like, you know, so they probably would get relegated on 50 points.
Yeah,
I think, you know what I mean? But there's a chance that it couldn't happen.
Yeah.
You know, I don't think they deserve a chance. Do you think they? Am I being too harsh? I think
it's tough for me to speak because we just splashed 600 million. So
yeah, exactly.
No one really wants to hear what I gotta say.
You don't need to be worried. I mean, yeah, I think you make a good point. Like, if they've really given themselves an unfair advantage to the point they've been winning titles, I've been seeing, you know, clubs like Derby and stuff and what they've been dealing with in the Championship and other clubs who have had massive sanctions to the point of, you know, almost having to go into administration, you know, down in the lower leagues because they're not, you know, following FFP and not sustainable and all of this stuff. And then you got Man City with their super lawyers who seem to get out of it all the time. So, yeah, if they find them guilty, like you said, not this season, because that'd just be ridiculous. Start fresh next season, relegate them.
Because when this happened to Juventus, they got docked points. They got 15 points docked this season, end up in like 10th or something. So that's how it usually goes.
Yeah, but they've been doing this for 10 years, according to what the Premier League's been saying. Like, you know what I mean? It's realistically made the league a farce, isn't it, over the last 10 years, if that's what's been happening. You know, like Tobs just joined, but, you know, it'd be in the camp as well. Like, you know what I mean? Spurs are doing it the proper way, whether you like it or whether you don't. They're playing under the rules and not overspending and whatever. Arsenal are doing the same. Liverpool have done the same for 3 or 4 years. And this is a club that's, you know, if the allegations are true, lying about wages, lying about sponsorship deals, lying about, you know,
even the grass was too long, they're saying.
You know what I mean? Like, well, you know, I think their gardener was on, like, you know what I mean, their groundsmen are on 2 million a year. You know what I mean? That's part time. You know what I mean? It's just ridiculous. You can't legislate that, like, you know. And I'll tell you what, it's funny now when it comes out that the last couple of years they've sort of played by the rules a little bit, like where they've sort of said, like, we've sold a few players, and also they've not gone for the signings like Cucurella, like, and let that one go. Another couple have gone, and all of a sudden they're not quite as dominant as they have been. Because why? Because they're playing by the rules now, like, you know. So I do think it's not fair.
I don't even think. For me, it's my thing is I've always my thing with this is I've always been a believer of, if you've got the money, spend it, right? But don't basically put up a facade that you're something that you're not. And that's been my biggest bone of contention with Man City and Chelsea. Like, I hate when these financially doped clubs pretend that they're this club that operate on sustainability. They're not, and that's fine. Nobody's going to chastise you if you have money that you want to spend, right? But when you do what Man City do, when you inflate the revenue, when you make it look as if, oh, we're this club that are making tons and tons of money, oh, we're in the green every season and stuff, it really irks me. And I think it's obvious, right? Like, every logical Premier League fan has known that the numbers behind Man City's, the numbers that Man City posts year on year just doesn't make sense. Like, it doesn't make sense that you can make more money than Man United. You're not that commercially powerful. It doesn't make sense. They could win 1 million Premier League titles. Yeah. The teams like Man United, they're set. Man United haven't won a trophy for 6 years, and they consistently lead the way when it comes to money that they pull in, because their fan base is crazy. It's never ending, right? So with Man City, this facade that they put up, like, if the average Premier League fan can see it, of course, eventually the Premier League, I know it took a leak coming out, but of course the Premier League are now taking an eye on it, and lo and behold, there's a decade worth of offences. Like, for me, they're gonna get punished. There's no way on earth they're gonna sort of skirt their way around this. 100 charges. There's no.
They can't even appeal. This is Ivan Toney levels.
Yeah, exactly. And forget the appealing, right? there's 100 charges. So this is an investigation that's been going on for 4 years. So I know Steve, for instance, probably thinks, oh, people are grassing. Oh, it's a ploy to get at Man City. No,
Arteta snitched. I'm telling you. Arteta came left there, and he was like, "Hey, you know what's going on over there?"
Yeah, no, like people. Obviously, we're gonna make our jokes. We're gonna make our jokes. Like Arteta snitching, Jesus and Zinchenko taking a plea deal, all of this jazz, right? But fundamentally, the Premier League have sufficient evidence to charge. If they have sufficient evidence to charge you with 100 offenses, then it's time to look inwards and actually start reading into the stuff that they're accusing your club of. Sure.
Well, they've released a statement, Man City. They've already responded. They basically said Man City is surprised by the issue of these allegations, breaches of the Premier League, alleged breaches of the Premier League rules, particularly given the extensive engagement and vast amount of detailed materials that the EPL has been provided with. The club welcomes the review of this matter by an independent commission to impartially consider the comprehensive body of irrefutable evidence that exists in support of this position. So they want independent review.
And that's fair enough, Dan. If that's the case, and if they feel that they can answer it and they can come out innocent, then you know that's how it is. But what I would say on that is, and this is where it's 2, 3, 4 years ago, they weren't having to sell the likes of Jesus and Zinchenko. Now, because now they've sort of a little bit forced to do it, it's give Arsenal an advantage. Now, there was a stage where they were just going to go like, oh, we don't have to sell no one. Like, we'll let their contracts run out for nothing, and then they can go. You know what I mean? Like, so all of a sudden, like in this last year or so, it has started to, you know, the gap has started to close. And
I also don't think they rated those players highly, isn't it? Maybe like they were rotational options.
Yeah, exactly. I don't think that they
foresaw the impact.
Exactly. I don't think they sold those players to sort of put up a front that they need to be self-sustainable. I think they sold those players because those players wanted to move on and they felt like they could replace those players. I think if you look at Man City spending over the years, one thing, the only thing they've done for me is they've actually started to make a profit on some of their players, right?
Yeah, similar
to Chelsea. They start to make a profit on their players because some of the players that they've bought in recent years, in comparison to the first 5 or 6 years when they had the money, significantly better. So those players that they have that are squad players now, in comparison to before, are way more of a commodity. So you're gonna get teams coming in to try and buy Jesus, trying to buy Bernardo Silva, trying to buy Zinchenko, etc.
The profit on Ferran Torres as well, Barcelona.
Exactly, and then they follow the Chelsea model. Shock horror, Chelsea lead the way. They follow the Chelsea model in the academy as well, pumping money into their academy, bringing in players from Watford, from this club, from that club, bringing in players from Brazil, setting up feeder clubs across the world and buying some of these players. They bought that Brazilian a year ago, Cavke or whatever his name is, like Jadon Sancho's, Bazunu, all of these players, like they're investing into their academy as well, because they can see the academy as a way to get
make money. They literally do exactly what we did. Like
literally what Rossi
and we don't get the credit for it. It's like, yo, where's the respect?
No, it's smart. It's definitely smart. But you just come off as hoarders, because all you do is you go out your way to buy the best talents, even though you have no real plan to integrate them into your team. You're just using them as a way to sell money. Even Pedro Porro, that Spurs signed. Guess who had a sell-on percentage? Man City.
Yeah,
so Man City have been clever in how they've been able to make money over the last couple of years, and I think they deserve some credit for that, right? But as I said, this notion that they are now turning into a self-sustainable club, it's a farce. It's not believable at all.
The stadium doesn't even sell. Is the stadium even selling out like that? Consistent.
A self-sustainable club don't buy Jack Grealish for 100 million to be a bench player. Get what I'm saying?
Yeah, no, 100%.
Yeah, that's a great point, Toby. And the likes of Arsenal, Spurs, West Ham, you know, they can't take a gamble like that and go, right, okay, like we'll spend 100 million on Grealish. You know what I mean? We've got to do all the diligence and everything like that and whatever. I'll go back to it a couple of seasons ago with Man City. They signed Ake for 50 million. It weren't working, and then went and signed somebody else for 50 million. Like, you know, I think Diaz, they went and signed in the next window for 50 million. You know, it's starting to work a little bit with Ake now because they've had to again, what we're saying is that all of a sudden now they're having to be coached.
Yeah.
They're having to be
didn't
like
get a left back in
nurtured.
January as well to replace Cancelo.
Yeah, you know, so they haven't done that. You know, Sterling's another one that's gone. You know, they've had to show now the real books, really. Like, you know what I mean? You know, it's not only just the signing of those players, the money that they must be on wages-wise as well. So now it looks like that they've made a massive profit this season. And I'm pretty sure they're playing by the rules this season. You know what I mean? I've got no doubts about that. But, you know, in recent years, they've not. And for that reason, it's not fair. And listen, I don't know, is it fair? You know, Manchester United will always be the biggest spenders because they've got the biggest crowd on. So it's a little bit harsh on other teams. But if someone wants to come in and give you, I don't know, £1 billion for the sponsorship rights to the Etihad, I don't know if anybody can stop you doing it. I don't. Obviously, they can. You know what I mean? I don't know how they've got around that or whatever. But you know, the same with when Abramovich was there. Like, you can't really tell him, oh, it's a little bit harsh. You know, I'm going to buy a business, and then all right, but you're not allowed to spend no money in it. You know what I mean? This fair play thing is a little bit funny because when I look at the fair play, I don't know how you guys feel about this. It's just it's helping out the bigger clubs more than the smaller clubs. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I mean, you only have to look at Barcelona. They're in so much debt. Last summer, they were able to pull every single economic lever they wanted to bring in as many players as they want. When really, in most cases, you're gonna be on the borderline of going bust the way they were looking at their finances. Obviously, they decided to spend to kind of try and keep themselves in Europe's elite and then get their money back in prize money, etc. Obviously, they ended up going to the Europa League. So Juventus, we see it in Syria all the time, all the corruption. Like, it's actually everywhere. It's not just the Premier League that obviously will get a bad flack after what's happened here. And obviously with Chelsea spending this year as well. But it's happening kind of all over Europe. With all the big clubs, even PSG, people maybe look into that. It's all across. I was saying before you got here, Tobs, does this mean we can put an asterisk on Arsenal's title if City get deducted points this season? Is that a saving grace?
As much as I want to do up agenda against those wankers, I've never really been one to buy into this whole asterisk thing. A season is a season. 38 games is 38 games. If you win, you win. So.
100%. It's going to be interesting what happens. I don't. Tobes, actually, what would you say is because Lee was saying relegate them to League Two.
I don't think they'll be relegated.
The good old days of Oldham Athletic and whatnot. Get it going again. Get it going.
About how they, had the biggest attendances in League Two and all.
Yeah, I mean, let's run it up. Let's see it again.
Let's see how they run that now.
Yeah, I can't see them getting relegated, and I think people have got jokes, but I think we're all going overboard in terms of the potential of the severity of the punishment that Man City could face, right? Obviously, that well-accredited lawyer was the one that tweeted that relegation is a possibility, right? But me personally, I feel like an establishment as big as theirs, I don't really see this getting to that stage where they're relegated. But
it happened with Juventus, didn't it? It happened with Juventus, all those chief.
Yeah, it did, but that's completely different, though. That's match fixing, bro.
Yeah.
That's match fixing, right? Yeah.
Nothing's set in stone. I think this is going to be a long, drawn out case, and I think Man City will fight it with everything they have.
100%, and I think that's the point I was going to end on. Like, we don't know. Like, they're going to receive some sort of punishment, but I don't know how severe that punishment will be.
You think the most realistic thing will maybe be like a points deduction or something?
I can see points deduction if there's no chance of appeal, right? And the Premier League have the level of evidence that it feels like they have, then I don't think a points deduction is far-fetched.
Okay, we'll see. We'll see how this progresses. Obviously, it's going to be going on, I'm sure, for weeks, maybe months. So we'll see what the updates say. Lee, to touch on the Everton game, I mean, you guys lost in the end to Sean Dyche. I was on stoppage time. Cams is calling them real men. 4-4, 4-1, 4-1 in the end, 4-5-1. Same kind of formation that Newcastle came with the Emirates. Very physical team. Tried to, give you problems in that regard. Maybe could have scored more. sounds like you're not happy with the performance. I didn't get to watch the game because I was traveling during the time of the kickoff. I only got to see your highlights. Is this a case of new manager bounce, and or is it? Do you think no? This is a wake up call. This is a little bit of a reality check.
Listen, you got to give Everton credit. They played really, really well on the day. They nullified our midfield. That's the first time I've seen our midfield outplayed and out-muscled and out-fought all season. I think that it was a worrying performance for me. Like, not to go that bad. The worrying thing for me is, after 5 minutes, 10 minutes when we played Spurs, I said, there's no way we're losing this game. And then, watching 5-10 minutes of the game against Everton, I'm going, there's no way we're going to win this game. We just wasn't on it. And I don't know if the Spurs and Man United games took a little bit out of us. I don't know. I'm scratching for excuses because I didn't see that sort of performance coming. I thought we'd gone away from those sort of performances. I think we've played, even when we lost to Man United this season in the league, I walked away from that game and thinking, well, do you know what I mean? We played well. We looked, there was pluses and things from that. Even the cup game last week, I felt in the first half we was really, really good until we made substitutions. But this game here, no excuses. No, we didn't get a decision go for us. Or it was a penalty or a bad refereeing decision. Outgunned, outplayed on the day, outfought. One thing that I didn't like, and I've said this, and people have had a little bit of a go at me for it, is that I actually see a team that's in relegation battle want it more than us. That 50-50 tackles, getting there before us. You know what I mean? Where was that passion and desire when we played Manchester United? Where was that passion and desire when we was playing Tottenham? When was that passion when we played other teams this season? We're just lacking there. If it was a lackluster performance, I don't know. But listen, without going overboard and that, we all have games like that. Even the best teams have games like that. So you just have to dust yourself down and see what happens in the next game. Hopefully, from our point of view, maybe it's a little kick up the backside we needed. You know what I mean? I think, just so we're going to just turn up and win a game there. There's no easy games in the Premier League. Let's get this right. Every game's tough, and that's why if we all was to predict 10 results, you think, well, that's a certainty, that's a guarantee. It doesn't happen, So we've just got to be a little bit more on it and make sure that doesn't happen again. But as I say, we're entitled to a bad performance where we are in the league and the way we've played this season. Yeah, we can have one without it being too
snowball effect. You kind of need a response. You just need a response now.
We need a response now. If you had the response against Brentford, beat Brentford and beat Manchester City in their next two home games, every away game's hard, as you know. Yeah. But if we were to win our next two home games, then I think everybody will be in a much better place. But it was, don't go overboard when you win, don't go overboard when you lose. And I think that's the way we've got to go. But I was disappointed with the way we lost that game. Very, very disappointed.
I think the people that are just putting it down to new manager bounce, I think it's foolish. You know what I mean? And we've seen so many managers have changed hands this season, and we're not seeing a new manager bounce. Sean Dyche has just gone in there and made the worst team in the league a bit better. He's gone about his tactics in a very smart way. He's got back to basics with the training, got them actually running, working on their fitness, and making those key improvements, those small wins. And that's what I was saying about when I said that, that's almost guaranteed Everton stay up and we need to be worried because they've got Dyche. I was saying it's much easier. You go into another club, you look at those easy fixes, those easy wins. What are they not doing? Okay, they're not running. Their running stats are really low. Right, we're going to work on that. We're going to work on their fitness. He had them doing bleep tests. I don't know if any of you lot was doing bleep tests back in secondary school. Yeah, but I mean that's some old school stuff doing the bleep tests.
Tobs just said something sly there. He definitely did. I can see it in his face.
All I heard was
he's cussed you out. He's definitely cussed you out.
Yeah, better to say it under your breath. Yeah.
But I will say this, though.
Is my internet fine?
Yeah, you are.
I
said you certainly didn't. I did.
You certainly didn't. What does that even mean?
I will say this though, and I know it's about management. I know it's about that. If Arsenal went to that game with Frank Lampard in charge,
you would have
Arsenal would have come back with the 3 points.
100%.
Yeah,
I do
Sean
think
Dyche is a better manager than Frank Lampard.
100%. Not even they're miles apart. Like Sean Dyche is a significantly better manager than
yeah. He got them to the Europa League, Burnley, didn't he?
I do think there is an element of a bounce though, because what I mean by that is in terms of the duration of energy that a player can expend over the course of 90 minutes, right? Because to play the way that they did against Arsenal for the whole game, it's not something that even he could have all the running stats in the world. It's not an intensity that they're going to be able to play at every game, right? And I do think that Sean Dyche being on the touchline, putting his arm around players and having worked with the players over the course of the week and having set out a clear and specific game plan on how to beat Arsenal, those players said, you know what, you're here, you're trying to make a change. We're gonna give the same effort as well. But you're right, generally, I don't want people to diminish that win down to new manager bounce. That win was because Sean Dyche is simply good in these situations. He's good at getting a tune out of these players in situations where he's the underdog. We've seen him do it several times against teams of Arsenal's ilk, when he was back at Burnley. And then when you actually look at how the game panned out, you could see clearly why Arsenal had an off day. You could see it because he suffocated the life out of their game changers. He didn't give Odegaard any sort of breathing room in that midfield. He put 2 or 3 men on Saka each time. He put 2 or 3 men on Martinelli, right? I felt like it was a very well-tuned tactical performance, man. And of course, he used Everton's physical advantages he used Everton's physical qualities to his advantage. And in the end of the day, the 1-0 win was more than justified. And I would actually say Arsenal are fortunate that it only ended 1-0 because they could have scored more than 1 goal, man. They really could have.
Yeah, Everton had like more shots as well, more shots on goal and stuff than Arsenal. So it weren't even, they just like, to say that they just parked the bus and soaked up and got a goal.
No, not at all.
No, I didn't do that. No.
They had a high press. He mixed it up. They had a high press in certain moments. Then they'd move into a mid block. When it was time to sort of soak up pressure from Arsenal, they would soak it and then spring on a counter attack. But it was a very clear plan from Sean Dyche, and those players executed it perfectly.
Yeah, that's the thing. They executed it well as well. They defended fantastically well, like putting their bodies on the line and everything like that. Yeah, I'm with Toby on that. You got to give credit to the manager, like, you know, whatever you think about Lampard, whatever you think about Sean Dyche, I've watched Everton a few times this season. They didn't put that level of commitment in under Frank Lampard, so he's gone there. And got a tune over. You know,
I think that's one of Sean Dyche's, as you know, I'll tell you, say non-negotiables. You know, that's the minimum. I think. His work rate.
But
also, like
he's not been playing.
He's very set in his ways. I feel like Lampard will he will be fluctuating between trying to play good football, but also wants to stay up. And the thing is with Dyche is that as soon as he swapped those wingers around, Iwobi and McNeil, he was like, yeah, you know exactly what's going to happen now. This is crosses galore for Calvert-Lewin. They didn't play out from the back at all as well. You see teams like this weekend, Aston Villa, playing out from the back against Leicester, getting pressed, making loads of individual errors, conceding 4 goals. Martinez playing out from the back. They didn't even try that. They just went straight up. They're just going to long ball. And this is the thing. Everybody wants to play pretty football. But if you don't have the players to do it, and you have the physicality that Everton do. I don't know if Sean Dyche would have suited a West Ham considering the players that you have. And I know you didn't want a Sean Dyche. Even though for me, like you said, I think Sean Dyche guarantees them safety. Now, I'm not even going to question it because I just feel like he's got too much experience and he has enough quality to work with. It's not even really too much quality. You could say Gray, you could say McNeil. McNeil's been brought into the fold. He's a good player. But it's just the fact that he's going to play to the strengths of the set pieces. He's going to go with the long throws. He's going to go with, you know, I wouldn't even be surprised if Calvert-Lewin got a few goals. But see, now West Ham have probably got the players now to actually play their way out of trouble, literally play their way out of trouble playing good football. But it depends who you bring in for that. So they went back to their David Moyes era, man. For Fellaini and all these guys, they went straight Tim Cahill. They went straight back to that, and it worked a treat. Obviously, Lee, I don't know if you celebrated Harry Kane's goal. I know that's something that you don't do. We've spoken about this many a time, but he scored. Yes, he beat the record as well. On at the same time, but that's very helpful to you, isn't it? So did you celebrate the?
No. Look, listen, I didn't celebrate Spurs winning yesterday. I wanted it to be a draw, if I'll be honest. But they've won the game, and you take it from there. Like I don't really look at it from a Spurs point of view. I look at it that City have lost. I didn't watch the game because I wasn't that interested in it. Because for that reason, if Arsenal would have beaten Everton, I think I would have been. I might have cheered Harry Kane's goal then, but. It was a poor day from us, and I don't think we need to be relying on other teams. And like Harry Kane, I've said it, I've tweeted it out today. Whatever I think about Harry Kane as a footballer, I think he's fantastic. You know what I mean? He's a goal scorer. Seeing the highlights on Match of the Day, he doesn't hardly touch the ball, gets a chance, bang, goal. That's what that's what he is. He's a very, very good footballer, very, very good goal scorer. Listen, Spurs will say the same, that they're not worried. They don't want to not lose that games for Arsenal. They've got to get into the Champions League and whatever. Nothing. There's no anything can happen in this league at this moment in time. Tottenham, will want to get as many points on the board as they possibly can. Same as Manchester United and Arsenal and Manchester City this month and Newcastle. So. They ain't going to say, oh, we're not turning up for this game and then go 5 points behind the Man United and Newcastle. They couldn't afford to do that. So,
but they didn't turn up against Arsenal, innit? And I think that just speaks to how unserious of a club they are. How embarrassed now. They give Arsenal 6 points this season. And they
give us 6 points. Come on,
one of those games they gave you the 3 points.
Yeah,
The game at home. Oh my goodness, they just gave it away with that system.
Listen. That's not to take anything away from Arsenal in that game, but they didn't turn up like it was a North London derby, scrapping, fighting for everything. They turned up like little bitches, and right when it comes to Man City, even the game at Man City, look how they came out of that, right. When it comes to games that benefit Arsenal,
I was more impressed by this one. The game against Man City where they took the 2 goals, that was like a 6-7 minute spell of madness. Well, this one, it's just a good performance. And it's like...
Well, I don't care what everybody says about it. 5 wins on the bat. If they've gone there 5 times, Manchester City, this is no...
no fluke.
No poor side. No, 5 times, 5 wins, no goals scored, or 5 losses if you want to look at it at City's point of view.
Mad.
Whatever you look at it, Tottenham have the way Tottenham play doesn't suit our Man City play because
if that was anyone else, they'd call it a cup final. Spurs fans, if that was any other team getting those wins all the time, some would say it's their cup final, like they like to say to us. So obviously, Man City
they've got City's number. They got City's number 100%.
Yeah, no. But there's I'm not even going to get sucked into this discussion. Yet again, you're comparing West Ham to Spurs. And I think that's your biggest flaw there. But there was one thing you said that I do agree with, and I don't think we turned up against Arsenal at home. And I'm quite disappointed that we couldn't put in a performance similar to Man City against Arsenal. Albeit, I think maybe Arsenal are playing a way that's a bit harder to contain than Man City this season. I feel like Man City have become a little bit predictable in recent weeks, right? But the bare basics you want in a game of that magnitude, I don't think we were able to put in against Arsenal. I don't know why, but I just don't think we were. I think Bentancur was missing, which didn't help, but I think the individual performances of certain players, if you compare Højbjerg yesterday in comparison to Arsenal, night and day. If you compare the defensive performance in comparison to Arsenal, night and day again. Even Lloris didn't throw the ball into his own net like he did against Arsenal as well. Even the tactical instruction from our players and a plan to deal with Man City's big hitters versus a lack of a plan to deal with Arsenal's big hitters. I felt like, yes, we should have done more in that North London derby, but generally yesterday was a really, really good performance. I don't even think we were that good on the ball because I felt like we made a couple of sloppy passes. Our final ball was lacking a little bit as well. But in terms of how we should be playing against a side like Man City to guarantee 3 points, I was really, really impressed, man. I felt like we pressed high when we had the opportunity to. I felt like we took risks in moments in and around the pitch, and I thought we defended well to a man, like superbly. So we didn't really let Man City create anything. I think the whole 5 games out of ground without scoring and stuff, I think it does get overstated, because I do think Man City have come to our ground in previous years and have actually created enough to have at least scored. I remember a game we won 2-0 when Bergwijn scored in his debut. They should have hammered us. They should have hammered us. Yeah. But they just didn't take their chances. But I felt like yesterday and probably yesterday and maybe the Nuno performance at the start of last season, I can actually say like we kept them at bay. Like I don't think Man City created anything meaningful yesterday. They didn't create a single clear-cut chance, in my opinion, yesterday, and I think we nullified their key threats. So yeah, props to us.
Summed up why I don't like Grealish. That game, how I see him play. He's constant looking for fouls. He's the way he slows things down. Always taking too many touches, trying to decide, where he's going to put the ball. It is so frustrating to watch. And there was a few of their players like that. A lot of the time, it's like, just make the pass first time, but they stop, look, think about, can I get the shot? And then while you've got a guy on the edge of the box wide open and too late. And I think, dropping De Bruyne, I thought was...
De Bruyne's been pretty average. Like, the thing is with Man City is, I've been saying it. This team, even when they won a couple of weeks ago, I don't know who they were playing at home. Some relegation-stricken team. It may have been Wolves, I think, at home where they beat them. They don't look like themselves, and they're not playing very well. So many games now, I'm seeing Hairline in this match, 0 shots. Was it 0 touches in the opposition box?
I think with the Hairline point though, I think again it's an indictment on City. We already know what type of player Hairline is, but they didn't really give him anything to feed off. I felt like when they were crossing into the box, it was hopeless crosses as opposed to deliberate crosses. I felt like the likes of Bernardo and Grealish just taking too many touches with the ball. Rodri taking too many touches with the ball. I do think we were good in the sense of closing off as much space as Haaland could have in the box and in the danger zones, but I also don't think Man City played to his strengths at all. And on Lawless's point as well, Jack Grealish, when I say on Big Six, I get told I have an agenda. I have no agenda against Grealish. I actually really like Jack Grealish as a player. I liked what he did at Villa, but honestly, at Man City, I've not been impressed. I know he's had better moments this season. He's had better performances this season, but generally speaking, if this is what £100 million gets you, then you have to question the buy. You have to question the purchase because it's not good enough. I remember when Pep Guardiola took off Mahrez, but left on Grealish. I said, great, thanks. You're basically taking off probably the biggest threat you will have in this game outside of Haaland to win, because when we played them in the reverse, it wasn't Grealish that won in the game. It was Mahrez. It was Mahrez that was cooking on that side, right? And I do think we created a better plan for Mahrez that game. But with Jack Grealish, I feel like he has high percentages of the basic things you see in the football pitch, as in like touches, passes into midfield, like things that will look good on FB Ref and SofaScore, but when you're actually watching the game, you're not impacting the match. You didn't create. He created.
Do you think there's a issue with the lack of overlaps, underlaps from fullbacks as well? Because Man City now, when Rico Lewis is playing, it's straight into midfield for him, and then Ake and whoever it will be, Akanji, Stones out on the wide centre back positions, but they're not going to get forward and help their winger. So I'm starting to look at the wingers and I'm thinking, at times you've got no supporting cast with you. There's nobody giving you.
Yeah, you don't. But Man City have usually played with an inverted fullback in recent years. They did it with Cancelo. They did it with Zinchenko, right? The only difference was they had the likes of Sterling on the flanks, the likes of Jesus on the flanks. I remember when Sane was there, of course, I think they had the option of the
Delph, I think, was
they
coming
had
in.
Delph as well, so he wasn't really overlapping. Sane was on that would stretch games for them.
Yeah, stretch. He'd stay on the touchline, but that actually suits his game. I don't think Grealish is suited to being on the touchline. At Villa, he always came inside. He's freedom to come off the left and come inside.
And there we go. And I've been saying this. One, he wasn't worth 100 million, and two, they didn't need him.
Cams was screaming this on stoppage. I saw you in the comments. Yeah,
I said this 2 years ago to Steve. And I got stick. They didn't need him because what he's producing on that left-hand side is not good enough for you to be starting week in, week out. And the way Man City need to play, he can't play. With Jack Grealish, he needs the ball all the time. He's someone where if there's space, he can disrupt. He can disrupt the opposition because he can take the ball, he can carry it, he can beat 2, 3, 4 players, and he's a really good threat in transition, right? But he's gone to Man City now, where teams will set up differently to how they would have set up when he was at Aston Villa. Ain't nobody putting up a deep block for Aston Villa. Nobody.
Yeah,
nobody's putting up a deep block for Aston Villa because you ain't that good. You're not that good, right? At Man City, the expectations rise. Teams know how Man City are going to set up, and they're looking at it when they play City. Teams are looking at it as damage limitation, so they're doing everything in their power to stop Man City scoring. And that means when Jack Grealish gets the ball on the left-hand side, his job is to beat his man consistently, get into the box, and either take an attempt at goal or create a chance. He can't do that because he doesn't have the capacity to do it to the extent that Man City need. He's not that type of player.
Is Emerson Royale not getting enough credit today? I feel like I feel like your boy needs some credit.
He has to be spoken about. I still think we need to get rid of him. But Emerson, if there's one thing that I can say Emerson has done to a decent standard at Spurs in a fair share of his matches, is he can defend. Like, if there's one characteristic you can put to Emerson Royale, he can defend. I don't think he's a good defender, right? But he is a competent enough defender in certain games, right? And the game yesterday, he was amazing. I have to literally hold my hands up. He was amazing. That's the best Emerson Royale performance I've ever seen. Even better than the one that he put in at Liverpool at Anfield last season when we drew 1-1. He was excellent, man. He stood up to every single 1v1 challenge with Grealish. I think it was only one time he sort of lunged in and gave away a foul. But other than that, aerial prowess, ground jewels, anticipation, blocks, desire, energy, commitment. Like he really put in a shift, man. He did. And listen, as I said, I still hope the club sell him, but I respect the fact that he can put in a performance like that against an opposition like Man City. I respect that.
No, 100%. You have to. I think with City, I don't know if you were in agreement, but I was saying to Lee as well before we recorded, guys. I don't really see this team doing their 10-15 game winning streak. I know that might be premature. Maybe I know we're only halfway through the season, but I'm concerned. And the Champions League is coming up as well. I'm just like I just don't see it.
You can never count them out.
I know, but that's based on history. That's based on them playing a certain way. They play nothing. They play actually the complete opposite. And one thing I was also saying on stoppage, they're actually quite boring to watch now. They're genuinely starting to get quite boring. They never get the boring stick because whenever people talk about Man City, they talk about what they've done. They talk about the 10-15 game winning streaks. They talk about the entertaining football, the fluidity. They're not doing any of that right now. I've been watching this team. I've been watching this team like a hawk in the first half.
They were better. I think the first half they were more entertaining. They were better in the first half. They created more. They moved the ball better. But then I think once Tottenham got their goal, I think it was just boring in terms of the game was boring and they just couldn't find anything to open Spurs up really and truly. And Spurs were just killing them on the counter, and that's why they were so boring because you just.
But don't you see yourself at I see myself now with Man City a couple of times it's happened 75th minute. I just know they're not going to score. Felt the same way against Southampton in the cup. Felt the same way against Tottenham. Like when you watch City, you can see them. You're just like they're not gonna do anything here. They just run out of ideas. It's not like they just don't know what to do next. And they used to be the masters of opening up low blocks.
My thing
it's got to be the worst season ever, isn't it? Like in terms of quality of the top teams.
I don't think so.
No, Arsenal have been too good to say.
No. Let's put Arsenal aside because they're the only ones who haven't. But
okay.
Man
United have been playing some good football. They got nice.
Man United, but they're not. They're still obviously trying to get to the levels, new manager, new project. But Liverpool, obviously, we don't even need to say that. Chelsea been dire. Man City, who've been the best team in the league for the last 10 years or
Tottenham
so,
as well.
been awful. Well,
No, stop it. No, Man City haven't been awful. They're still on point for a night.
No, but they've been way below their usual levels.
Yeah,
Like,
they've been below their usual standard. But you said awful. That's
no. I said it's
They're
been
not
an awful.
The standard they've
season.
set is ridiculous.
It's been an awful season. The levels of the top teams has dropped. I
don't think that's true because you still have two teams. You still have two teams at the top that are on point for 90 plus point seasons. So how can you say the level? Yeah, okay, Man City and Liverpool drop, but
Newcastle have come into the frame as well.
Exactly.
Newcastle a lot better.
Newcastle are there. Fulham,
Brighton, all of these, Brighton, Brentford, Fulham, they need all their respect. Yeah.
So do you know what? Yeah, Tobs. Yeah. Do you know what, Tobs? The hypocrisy that comes out of your mouth. The hypocrisy, because we was on Lee's channel. I think it was either last season before, when West Ham were competing for top 4. Oh, West Ham are only there because this Man United have been poor this season and this team's been poor and that's allowed. But now when it's Fulham and when it's Newcastle, yeah, they've been good. Like, you got to give them get out of here.
No, here you go, just waffling. I didn't say.
Yeah,
your argument is your argument is the standard of the league is worse off. I don't think that's true. And what I'm saying to you is teams like Chelsea and Liverpool have had to drop off in order for the likes of Brighton and Fulham and Brentford and all these sides to take over, right? They have. If Liverpool and Chelsea are performing to the level they performed at last season, Brighton would be lower down the table, Fulham would be lower down the table, Spurs would be lower down the table, Newcastle would be lower down the table.
But the teams that are filling their void aren't performing at the levels that these teams usually do. So it's not like these have dropped and these have...
I think Brighton deserve a lot more credit than you're giving them.
Yeah, they do.
Really good football.
It's a shame because Arsenal were trying to ruin that club, that poor club, trying to build something and kind of just nick all their players like mid-season, and we'll come back in the summer for some more. Some of the batterings that Brighton have handed out to Chelsea, to Liverpool, they have replaced some of the excitement that you're talking about that Liverpool used to execute and etc. So that's why I'm saying you got to give more credit to Brighton, because Brighton are battering some teams.
They put 7 goals. They put 7 goals past Liverpool and Chelsea at home. So,
but this is the problem with the league for me, because you see a Brighton come up, and like I said, it is exciting. You see the things that they do and the players they can get, but then it's so easy for them to just get raided.
Yeah,
that they just end up dropping back down the table.
That's because they haven't established themselves at that point.
I don't think it is easy.
But how can they?
I don't think it is easy. How is it easy if you have to pay 66 million to get a fullback that's only played in the Premier League for 1 season? That is not easy.
No,
it is because these teams can do it.
Yeah, but that doesn't make it easy. That makes these teams crazy.
No, it's a
that
big
makes
gamble.
These teams crazy. It's big. And by the way, Cucurella is playing poorly right now.
Exactly,
really poorly.
He's playing like a stripper.
Even
the other day against
Fulham, cross.
Even the other day against Fulham, he was getting fist up. Cucurella has been shit for Chelsea. He's been crap for Chelsea, right? But it's not easy. Caicedo, Arsenal wanted to sign him in January. Caicedo's still playing at Brighton. And if he leaves in the summer, he's going to be leaving for around 60, 70 million minimum. It is not easy to go and get one of their players now. And for me,
they've unsettled him, though.
Look at Declan Rice. You still got him.
Exactly. And I feel like this power the increased power that these teams have makes the Premier League a better product, because these teams are able to keep their players on. They're able to keep their players for longer, and not only are they able to keep their better players for longer, they're able to actually go and put money down for players that usually would have gone to the likes of Liverpool, Chelsea, Man United, etc., etc. I'm seeing Bournemouth are fighting relegation, and they were putting money down for Zaniolo. Do you get what I'm saying? How can you then say that the league is worse off for this? The league is better for this because there's way more competition. Yeah,
but I think it's
Everton have spent. You guys have spent. You guys are both down at the foot of the table. Yeah. Your poor recruitment. Your poor recruitment is why you're down there. You spent probably more than Tottenham, especially when you want to factor in some of the points.
I don't think our recruitment was poor. I don't think.
Well, why are you down there? So it's 100% down to Moyes then, because your recruitment was poor based on the manager you had, in my opinion. I think you got some good players. You clearly don't suit. I think you got some good players, but
Apart from
if you're going to
Kane
recruit for Moyes, I think you've recruited the wrong players for Moyes. Personally, that's why I just think it's a mismatch. If you're going to recruit these type of players, I think Moyes is the wrong manager. It doesn't make sense.
This is the thing. I put something in the group chat, right? Moyes, and this was eye-opening for me, right? When I see this, Moyes talking about we'd hoped that Paqueta would get about 8 to 10 goals and 8 to 10 assists this season, yeah. Even though he's never done that consistently, like never done that in his career for Lyon.
Really?
You know, he's not.
When you've spoken about him, you would have thought he had.
Yeah, but again, like Tobs is basically Moyes. He's just another Moyes, basically, because he doesn't understand the player that Paqueta is. Because this is the thing. Because like Tobs,
Lawless, Lawless, you better be careful here. Tobs is gonna come for you for this one.
You educate me on football, enlighten me.
Yeah, because like Tobes, yeah, Moyes, what is he doing? What the hell is this guy doing?
I'm getting my charge, mate. Yeah.
Running around in his dressing gown. Look at this guy. No, like Moyes and Tobes, they're looking at Paqueta, and Moyes even said this. He compared Paqueta when we signed him to Dimitri Payet. Hopefully, it'd be another Payet. They're such different players. If you watch them, you can see they're not the same player. They're not even near like the same player. Dimitri Payet, what is like a proper number 10 playmaker, creative, genius. He was, when we signed him, he'd create the most chances in the top 5 leagues in Europe. Paqueta was nowhere near that. You look at Paqueta, he's not a creative player.
He's not much of a playmaker like that. Let me get Lee's take on West Ham though, because I'm actually quite interested to see this outside perspective on West Ham. 179 million spent in a relegation fight with David Moyes. What have you made of, I guess, the way it's been going? Because Lawless has been doing a lot of propaganda, trying to save this squad. Is it all Moyes' fault? How do you see this?
No, listen, I think that West Ham have been fantastic over the last couple of years to get to where that they have been. You know what I mean? They've done really, really well. And David Moyes is a big part of that. And I think if I was a West Ham fan, I'd be disappointed that they're not kicked on after the signings that they've made. I get that, you know. They should not be where they are. They shouldn't be where they are. But you can see, like, sometimes it takes time for players to bed in and all that, like, you know. And I actually watched the game against Newcastle. I was so impressed with them. So impressed with West Ham. I felt that once they went, like a shabby 10, 15 minutes. After that, I thought they were the better side. I thought they was going to go on and win the game. So I think that things are improving at West Ham. They're looking better. By the way, Declan Rice's performance in that game was unbelievable. Like, you know, I don't think he gets the credit that he deserves. You know, he's just all over the place. I think that he can play different positions in a team, and I just think that the one thing that I think that's West Ham have lacked, and like lots of teams have it, they haven't really got a goal scorer. That's been their problem, you know what I mean? They play some good stuff, and then, you know, they haven't got no one to finish it off. And it's very, very difficult to get a goal scorer, I know, like, you know what I mean? But if they did have a goal scorer, I think West Ham would be a lot better than what they are. Got some good players. Bowen, for some unknown reasons, lost a bit of form, but it's coming back into form now. And you know, I get the frustrations that West Ham are not doing as well as what they should be. But I still think, you know, listen, weren't a couple of seasons ago that they come above Arsenal and Spurs, you know what I mean? Like, and if you said that to West Ham fans, you know, you can come above Arsenal and Spurs, you know, and it's never going to happen. Like, you know, might get above one of them, but not both. But they did do that, you know, and it is getting that consistency right. But, you know, when you look and you say, like, the league's like, it's still a tough league, you know what I mean? Every game you go to is tough. And, you know, Newcastle, by the way, only lost one game this season, like, you know, but they've drawn a lot of games.
They've drawn a lot of games, yeah.
Yeah, they went. I thought they went toe to toe with them up at Newcastle. I'm pretty sure that all three of us would like to go to Newcastle and put in that sort of performance. So, you know, I just think that I think West Ham will be fine. I don't think there'd have been a relegation battle at the end of it, because I think they've got too many good players, and those players are starting to get a little bit of form. The central defender, by the way, you know, got injured on the first game of the season. What's a player he looks? You know what I mean? Like what I see. So, you know, in football, like most sports, You need that little bit of luck as well. You need a little bit of luck with injuries. You need a little bit of luck with this. So listen, West Ham are not as bad as certain people make out.
I agree. We have been unlucky, with injuries and stuff. But I just think that, as a manager, you have to know about the players that you're signing, and he's just figured out that Paqueta works best as a number 8 next to Rice. And Paqueta, and got to talk about this guy because, if Aguerd wasn't man of the match, then it would have been Paqueta. Because he was brilliant that game, took his goal very well, took the touch, finished it nicely. Some people calling it a tapping. If you think that's a tapping, you don't know what tapping is because that was pure skill, right? And I've said about Paqueta since day one. I've believed in Paqueta. Yeah, when Tobs and Potts been trying to get on me, Paqueta. I'm like, let him be played next to Rice. Give him time. Let this team tick, and you will see him. You will see his quality. And we saw his qualities. I don't know why you're looking like that, Tobs, because he's been getting better. And I've been saying this each week. He's been getting better and better. You know what I mean? Tobs looks high. What's going on? Oh, he froze. He's been getting.
Am I back now?
Yeah, you're back. I thought you were asleep.
So no, I wasn't falling asleep. Like, you love doing this thing. You love twisting the narrative, right?
Oh my! You're not going to try it out.
The thing is, I was watching. I didn't get to watch the whole game, so I watched probably up until like the 10th minute of that match, right? And then I saw the rest on Match of the Day. You keep saying Tobes and Potts talking about Paqueta. Nobody has once said that Paqueta isn't a good player. You've told us how good this player is. And when we're watching him and he's not playing well, we call it out as him not playing well. And you're saying, oh no, he needs this, he needs that, he needs this, he needs that. You apply context and you give grace to Paqueta, but you will not apply that same context or grace when it's a player that's not at your club that you don't like. So that is don't say that. That's the issue. That is the issue. Right?
You've been trying to troll me. And even when
it's not trolling. It's not trolling. It's not
I
trolling.
said the Tottenham game, right? When we faced you, all I said was
it is not trolling to say that Paqueta has not played well for West Ham this season. That is a fact. Paqueta has not played well this season for West Ham. And I've seen a number of games he started for that to be true. Has Paqueta played well for West Ham this season? Yes or no?
Well, yeah, he has played well because he played well on Saturday.
Answer the question, because you came here.
He played well Saturday. What do you mean?
I'm talking about this season. Stop.
Over the course of the season, yes, he hasn't lived up to his price tag.
Played well for West Ham this season? If the answer is no, then you can't chat to me and Potts.
But why? The question is why hasn't he played well? And that's not nothing. That's not
all down to Moyes. Moyes controls his legs apparently. Moyes controls his brain. Moyes controls.
He controls where he plays. He controls how we play. Yeah. You also have to give Paqueta time. And I've said this to our players because we've had our fans, who have wrote him off and said he's rubbish and said he's a flop. Because he's coming to a new league, into a volatile team. So you have to give him time.
So Lawless, have you seen me or Potts call Paqueta a flop this season?
Yeah, Potts has. One of you has. One of you definitely have called him a flop.
I've never called him a flop.
You haven't because I've
never called him a flop.
You can't. Yeah, I think Potts probably has, but.
I think that's because you've probably come in for Saliba.
What we're asking for is for this guy to perform, because I told you at the World Cup he was crap for me at the World Cup, and then when I've watched him for West Ham this season, he's not been good enough. So for me, a supposedly good player, I need to see more. Even when
when he starts playing well, don't think I'm just not going to call you out and say, look, Paqueta's playing well. There you go, and look, he's frozen again.
Right. While he's frozen, I'm gonna outro Lee as well because I know Lee's got to go. Listen, bro, it's gonna be an absolute pleasure. Please let the people know where to find you on your channel, man.
Yeah, Lee Judges TV. Give us a little look on a follow there or subscribe, whatever it is. That'd be fantastic. But really enjoyed the chat, and I'll tell you, I might even watch this on the way to football now with you two. I love it.
100%. Guys, make sure you subscribe to Lee. The links will be in the description, guys. Make sure you subscribe to Lee Judges TV, man. Pleasure. Thank you, bro. Boys. Thank you, bro. Appreciate it.
See ya.
And another player, Aguerd.
Great tackle. Great tackle. Brilliant.
That was that's not the first time he's done that this season, right? I said from day one in the group chat, Aguerd, Tobs. I don't know who he is.
Are you
Saliba was a
trying
better
to collect your flowers maybe too soon? Do you want to wait for them to go on a 5-game
I
run?
know,
Maybe or you don't want to wait. Okay.
I know I don't need to.
I'm just
wait for
asking.
flowers
I'm just
for
asking
Aguerd.
if you wanted to.
I know for a fact. Give me the flowers now for Aguerd, yeah. And I said this. I said last week. He will become and be seen as a better centre back than Romero. I said that last week. Tobes raised his eyebrows. Yeah. Look what happened. Look at Romero against City.
He's doing it. He's doing it right now. He's doing it.
Card. He got sent off, didn't he? He got sent off with that rash challenge because he's rash. But look at Aguerd showing him how it's done. Was way behind Wilson with his pace, made up that speed, and just so calmly as you like, went to ground, put his foot in front of him, and slotted the ball away.
Your self-awareness, is honestly on zero, man.
How?
Like your self-awareness is absolutely insane.
What does self-awareness do?
You forget who got man of the match. When you last played us at our ground, you forget who got man of the match.
Oh, I'm sure Emerson Royale's had a man of the match in his career. I'm not
talking about Emerson Royale. I'm talking about.
I'm just saying, just because he's got man of the match, don't mean nothing.
No. But that's what I'm saying. Your self-awareness is crazy. Aguerd hasn't even started 10 league games, and you're comparing him to someone. Who's actually been a net positive for Spurs.
Because I'm looking to the future. It's called vision.
So how comes when Potts was looking to the future of Saliba, you wasn't having it?
No, because Potts didn't look to the future. Potts said that Saliba is one of the best centre backs in the world.
Bro, you're a waffler, man. You just chat shit.
How? I'm saying, I'm making a prediction.
I'm not even persecuting you for saying that Aguerd could be a better centre back than Romero. But your conviction when you say these things, it doesn't align with your opinion when other people say the same things about their players that you don't like. You're just a hypocrite.
Listen, I'm not. No, because I'm not saying.
You're just a hypocrite. You constantly berate other players, and the things that you say about those players, you won't apply to your players. It doesn't make any sense to me.
I think that's misleading what you're saying.
It's not misleading. Matisse, am I lying? It's not misleading.
Because I'm making a prediction for the future.
You do it all the time. And if I was to predict something about one of my players, you'd call me deluded.
Well, depends what you're saying. Like, you could say, I think Jed Spence will go on to be one of the best right wing backs in the league, right? And I'll go, okay, well, let's see then, innit? Let's see that. But if you said it like Potts was saying it right now, and I'm not saying right now.
No, you were trying to pin Aguerd against Saliba, bro. That's what you were trying to do.
No. I didn't say that. I didn't say that. You did. No, you lot brought that to me. Oh,
yeah, because you were. Yeah, we did because you were shitting on Saliba. You were shitting on Saliba, and then you were gassing up Aguerd, who's not even been in this league for 2 minutes.
I weren't even shitting on Saliba.
Yes, you were.
Oh, you was.
You're so
you never said fat shit on Saliba.
I was deluded. Listen, Aguerd looks good. Aguerd looks good. I will give you that, but give it time, bro. Give it time. You can get your clap coins for Aguerd looking good. Here, where's money? I've got. There's money here. You can get your clap coins. Get your clap coins. Get your clap coins for Aguerd looking good.
Fine. Is Tobs on holiday? Tobs, you on holiday?
Is that
what?
You on holiday? It looks like as if you're on holiday.
What are you talking about?
I don't know why. The white walls and the sunset in the background.
No, this is just my flat, bro.
Okay.
Palm tree.
You look like you're in Greece or some shit.
It's a beautiful sunset, innit? But no. But here's your clap coins because admittedly, I didn't actually know anything about Aguerd, and when I saw him at the World Cup, I said, okay, yeah, you know what? He actually looks good. Fair enough. So here's your Tobes. You were wrong. I was right. You can have that.
So what's that? £20? That goes £120 then. All right, put that towards the £100.
But I just don't like the way you speak with such conviction when it comes to West Ham players, and then you open that same mouth to shit on players at Spurs, at Arsenal, etc., and judge them by a much harsher standards. With West Ham, they get protected under this umbrella of David Moyes is out of his depth. He needs to be sacked. So don't count anything that these guys put in this season. Don't count that as a performance. But when it's at other clubs, your mouth is wagging.
Yeah, because what you're doing, Tobs, what you always do is take the context and nuance out of my mouth.
I haven't taken
that I
any
apply
context.
to.
I haven't taken any. That's literally the very thing. That's literally the very thing I'm getting on you for, because you don't apply context when you criticize some of these players. You don't apply context.
Listen, I said Saliba was a good player.
2 weeks ago, you were telling me Perisic has been a flop. And I'm giving you context, and you're telling me no, he's been a flop. I'm telling you he's been a free signing. He's assisted like 10 goals across all competitions for a wing back. And you're telling me he's been shit for Spurs.
I never used the word flop. Yeah, I never used the word.
You said he was shit. Which one is it?
I said he's not been good. He's not lived up to the hype, to your hype. You come in and you hyped him up as the difference maker.
And I agreed. I'm going to find the chat. And I actually agreed with you. I said, yeah, he's not lived up to the hype, but he's not been poor. You actually said he's been poor. I'm going to find the chat. I'm actually going to find the chat because you actually
I want exactly, because this is what I'm saying. You reply these words.
Way too much. One sec. I'm going to find it.
Look at him. You know, he's going to find the chat. Yeah, he picks out these words where I say he's been poor. He hasn't been great like lately. As of late, has he? He's dropped off. He's dropped off massively.
I think he could have greatly benefited from a better left side centre back in that three. If they had got a Bastoni or they had got a Badiashile, or Fuad is a big fan.
So guys, he told me that Perisic having 5 assists in 18 league games for a wing back was pathetic. That's what he told me.
Creswell's done better than that as a left back. Creswell was better at that as a left back.
Another comparison.
I'm just saying.
This is the same Creswell that cost you the Europa League.
This is Ivan Perisic. Yeah,
he's old as hell. He's like 34.
So, but he's supposed to be like elite. He's supposed to be one of the.
Bro, how old is this man? He's like 34 coming over from Syria.
No, but I'm sorry, we didn't hear that from Tobs. He didn't go, oh, we've signed Perisic. Oh, but he's 34.
No, that's true. That's true.
No. I definitely thought Perisic would be better than what he's been for Spurs. And I've held my hands up for that. But you actually, I'm reading it now. You first you said I said he was world class.
He's 35 actually. Oh no, he's 30. Just turned 34.
Just turned 34.
Yeah.
First you said I said he was world class. I've never said that. I've literally never said that. Then you said 5 assists in 18 Premier League games for a wing back is pathetic. That's what you said.
for a wing.
And then you said what? I'm literally reading your chat now. What has Perisic done in the Spurs shirt? That's what you said. You said, what has Perisic done in the Spurs shirt? You did backflips over signing Perisic, Richarlison, and Spence. Hyped up those signings. And when I hype up my signings, you say who? And then...
You
got to admit, some of these guys have not delivered to the billing. Like Richarlison still has no goals. Like wherever way we want to flip it on minutes, and I know context matters. He's not really playing much, and he's coming off the bench. But to have 0 goals in February for 60 million, it is nuts.
We're having a
even as an impact sub, you should be getting some goals. To be honest,
it's poor. But again, I just find it hilarious that man can look at Richarlison and call it as just he's just been poor, and then won't apply the same thing for Skamaka. Won't apply the same thing.
Whoa. I never called out.
He won't apply this logic to any of his players. He doesn't do it. That's what I'm talking about.
Chris Matisse saying that. I never called Richarlison a flop. I never called him. In fact, I was the one telling you I said that's a good signing. I said he's a good player, yeah. But let me tell you something as well on Perisic as well with the 5 assists. Let's not forget who he's assisting. Harry Kane, yeah.
Who's he's assisted?
Harry Kane. So
he's assisted.
Do you know what I mean?
I don't care. Harry Kane. You actually told me that 5 assists for a wing back after 18 games played was pathetic.
But when I'm sorry, right, pathetic was a strong word.
I'll call it average. I wouldn't call it pathetic.
What do you mean you'd call that average? How can you say 5 assists in 18 league games for a wing back? It's pathetic.
Well, in your system, wing backs are meant to get right up the pitch, so they're basically meant to be wingers. No?
Yeah, so Matisse, then 5 assists in 18 games. That means over the course of a full season, if I extrapolate that, right, he's on course for double figures in assists in over a full campaign. How can you tell me that's poor?
I didn't say it was poor.
Marcos Alonso in your title-winning season, how many assists did he get, Matisse?
Can't remember, but I don't like Marcus Alonso anyway. So
I don't care. I'm saying in your title-winning season when he was good, how many assists did he get?
No, but I think we've
for
actually
him-
been
for
watching
him to say-
Perisic. So
for him to say that
this is
5
where
assists
this is
that's
where
a
you're not
good-
going to be a little nerd with your notepad and go for
Get
GA,
into it.
right? We've been watching Perisic. He's been average this season. You could say
Matisse, you're not listening to what I'm saying. I didn't
why are
say
you talking about
Perisic has been
his
good.
GA?
I didn't say Perisic has been good.
if I go through these
When
numbers,
Lawless-
is he
when
going
Lawless
to?
said-
If I go through
when
these numbers,
Lawless said-
am I going to find
when
a stat
Lawless
pad of
said-
assists in 2 games where he's got like 2
Bro,
assists per
bro,
game? Am I going to go
listen.
through it? Am I going to find that?
Brother,
And who's
What
he
are you
been?
talking
Who did he get his
Let
assist
me go and
against?
look through this shit.
bro, you can look through whatever. I didn't say
Yeah.
Perisic has been good. I didn't say Perisic has been good. I said when Lawless said he's not lived up to it. I said, yeah, you're right, he hasn't. But
So
you're
why can't
acting
you bring
like
up the numbers?
you're acting like he's been a scrub when he's not been a scrub.
Right?
Literally, the other day I was killing Perisic on THFC show because he was terrible against Man City. Perisic has not been good for Tottenham, but he's not been bad either. He's not been bad. And when I'm seeing a man diminish his assists that have actually meant something for us in these games,
Did one of those assists come from when Romero's hair where Cucurella's hair was pulled? I'm chalking that off. That's 1 down.
Yeah.
I know what that
4.
means.
You're on 4, bitch. 4 assists.
That's fine. He can be
4
on 4
assists.
assists. He can be on 4 assists. But the point I'm making is the point I've made is you can say what you want to say about Perisic in his overall game this season, but the fact of the matter is when he's had the ball in moments to make a difference, he's made a difference for Spurs, irrespective of how shit he's been in the game. So you can't take that away from Perisic. So when you're talking to me about Perisic 5 assists is pathetic, I'm like, hang on a minute. How many goals has Scamacca scored in the league? How many good performances have I seen from Paqueta? These are
He's also
good
on set
players.
pieces though as well. He's on set
These
pieces.
are good
as well, so
players.
his
Yeah,
delivery's
he's a
been
set
great.
piece taker.
Yeah,
So
piece
what?
taker. I'm just saying, there's context to it. You want context, you get context.
Yes,
Right?
set pieces.
Yeah, you could
Because when Money Mace was doing up mad GA last season, I always said, listen, let's calm on this because the performances haven't been great, right?
But Matisse, I didn't say the
not being
performance has been
consistent.
good.
I'm just saying, I'm going through the assists right now. I'm taking the one from Chelsea, and I got Leicester, I got Bournemouth, and
We're
then I
actually
got.
saying the same thing.
You're not putting context to these
What, Leicester,
assists. Like you're
Bournemouth?
acting like they're just cold
And you don't
numbers.
put context on your players'
Palace.
performances. That's the point I'm making. You can analyze Perisic's performance to a T and tell me that he's not playing well, which is fair. But you won't do the same for your players. And then when you do say it, you say, "Oh no, he's not played well because of Moyes." You say you give your players every single bit of leeway. You don't give any other player leeway at other clubs. You give these players.
I've given Richarlison.
To be fair, once he said Messi, he doesn't give a shit if he wins it. I'm not gonna lie, we should have accepted it for what it was.
No, I didn't say it like
this.
that. The thing is, I was
No,
This
you-
is not a
no,
football man. This is a West
you
Ham
don't-
man we're talking to. He's not a football man.
Genuinely, bro. You know it as well. You give your players too much leeway. You've given your players too much leeway this season when you're at the bottom of the
You
league.
shouldn't be down there regardless
You
of the
put
manager.
all
It's
the
way too
onus
good.
on David Moyes, but when it comes to other players at other clubs, you'll slam their players into smithereens.
If you were chilling in like 12th, then cool. You
If
could
this was Spurs, if Spurs were in West Ham's position, you
relegation
would be
fight.
getting on Conte and you'd be shitting on the players.
no,
Yes or
I
no?
think I listen.
Yes
I
or
think
no? When Spurs finished below West Ham, your opinion on Spurs, Jose, etc., there's no way on earth you would have put it all on Jose Mourinho. Impossible. You would have dug out our players.
if we signed some like the thing is we've signed players like the players you signed were for Conte's system, right? They were Conte. They would come in and they was to fit that system. So if Perisic were not working out as a wing back, then that's on Perisic, right? Because he's playing there. If Conte,
you literally said how bad Conte's been as a manager this season.
If Conte-
You said that, your words.
Yeah, but- I know
Your
he has.
words.
No, he's game management and
But
his
which one
team
is it?
selection, but not in terms of the system and the tactics
But
he's
that's the
trying to
problem.
play.
The system has been flawed this season.
I'm saying with
It's not
our
even a
system,
flawed system.
Moyes is trying to go from a counter-attacking system to a possession-based system. But we're playing a possession-based system that we don't keep possession in. We do not have the majority of the, no matter who we're playing. And he doesn't, like I said, understand the qualities of the players he has. Look at Paqueta. Look at Scamacca. How many crosses that we've spam into Scamacca, even though he prefers the ball to his feet. And he's only scored like one header for us. But we keep just going down the wings, cross. He wants to link up. He wants to hold the ball up, but we just put in crosses. That's the manager. That's the manager's fault because you're not playing to your team players' strengths.
Mm.
You can't tell me Conte isn't playing to Perisic's strengths. You can't tell me that.
Saying that. I'm saying Conte hasn't really played to a lot of players' strengths this season as a whole, right? My point is broader than Perisic. Your point on Perisic stands true. He's not been good for Spurs. He's not lived up to the hype. But don't talk about him like he's been some scrub for Spurs because he hasn't been.
I just think the way that you hyped him up, it needs to be said. Like it needs to be said.
That's fine. So okay, if we can agree on that, then don't chat shit when people attack you for your players. Because you hyped up your window on a mad thing this summer. If you're talking about me talking about Perisic, you hyped up your window on a mad thing this summer. You did.
I think you can both catch these L's. I'm not gonna lie.
Exactly.
Because when my Lukaku thing happened, I caught my L. So I think both of you need to catch.
I think you can still catch an L though, Matisse, to be honest.
Oh, of course he can. Of course he can.
I've been catching my L's, but I think Tob gets away with so much shit.
I don't get away with anything.
You get away with so much shit.
Wait, so let me just ask you two before we move on to Chelsea. Then West Ham, how do you see our progressing from here?
One game at a time, baby.
That's kind of where I'm at with it. Yeah, that's where I'm at.
One game at a time with you lot.
We've got Chelsea next as well.
Yeah, I look forward to
that. And to me, that's 3 points. We have to look at that as 3 points because
Felix is back, so I'm expecting 3 points.
I've said out of Newcastle.
Let's move on though because we've got to wrap up soon.
I'm just saying Chelsea needs to be the most winnable. I looked at. And moving on.
Why not Spurs?
Chelsea.
I thought Spurs is the most winnable.
No, but it's at your ground, so we have to give you.
I thought you get good results at our ground.
We are good at you. We are better at your ground. We've had some great results.
Wait. Sorry. So Chelsea.
Here we go.
We ain't gonna get onto Chelsea.
I tried.
At 6 o'clock, I got ahead. 6 o'clock.
No way is this Chelsea super team more vulnerable than Spurs.
They are because they're a super team. When you look at it, yes, they've
Reece James is back. Chilwell's coming back. João Felix is back from suspension.
Don't you think they're a bit of a mess? Like the
yeah,
same
we are
time?
100%. Yeah,
all of these
players.
You are also a mess. Don't forget that.
No, but I feel like we're more of a we've been shit, but we're less of a mess. Like yours looks like a mess, and the room
didn't sound like that a couple of weeks ago when Moyes needed to get sacked. I'm not really understanding what you're saying. So what you're saying is that.
The word mess. No,
this guy. I'm not listening to no.
Do you know what I mean? Like it's like you go into a room, and it's just messy. You've got Mudryk over here, Felix up here. Like you need to know where to put everything in its place.
We're gonna see what's gonna happen.
Potter don't know where everything's place is. Mudryk had that's got to be one of the worst debuts of all time, surely.
He played against Liverpool. That was his debut, and he was actually really good at Anfield. So yeah.
Oh,
but anyway, thoughts. Did you watch the Chelsea game? So go on, say your piece on the Fulham game.
Did you watch the Chelsea game? You were fucking yeah.
I feel like if anyone, we need to hear from Tobs on this game because he always has a lot to say about Chelsea.
I think this super team Chelsea, it seems like they're gonna have to win 15 out of 17 league games now because they completely screwed the pooch against Fulham at home. I wasn't impressed. I felt like the midfield outside of Enzo were not offering enough. I felt that your left hand side outside of Badiashile, so Kukurea specifically, I felt like he was getting had up by Fulham. Yeah. I felt up top as per toothless, and I think we all know who's to blame for that. That's my view on Chelsea. So I want to pass the mic over to you. Talk us through your drab draw to Fulham.
I've got a review up on the channel. Have you not checked out?
I want to hear from you. This is your show.
Listen,
you've been strutting a lot. I've seen you on social media, getting hyped about, with your
amortization. Amortization FC, you little twats.
Yeah, you've been strutting. You've been, feeling yourself, chest out, wearing all these suits and flashing the cash, all of this stuff, right? But it's not translating. All of that confidence, all that hype and happiness isn't translating to the pitch yet. Are you feeling like it's gonna soon, or what's going on?
It has to. I mean, listen, I'm gonna give it time to bed in. We've got 3 clean sheets in a row, so I'm looking at that positive. But going forward, I want to see Enzo in a less restricted role. We didn't sign Enzo to be a regista, to be a DM. We were signing Enzo to come and help us create more chances, play the final pass.
Fan is that Enzo?
Oh, listen, I don't know about all those quotes, man. Let's not even get into that. Some people's translations are a little bit fishy. I don't know what's going on there. If it's Spaniards or what's going on. Listen, you shouldn't even be hyping that up because that means you're gonna lose. You're gonna lose, Mr. Declan.
Yeah, but that means the price tag. Let's not piss about here with these.
Oh, here we go again. Listen.
The price tag.
We know
Fernandez. How much? How much?
Yesterday's price is not today's price, and that is working against you, by the way, not for you. So let's not do that because your contract's running down right now. So let's make sure we get something reasonable. But for me, Mason Mount and Gallagher in particular, and Cucurella, who was awful as well. Mudryk came off half time with a cold. Listen, this guy barely got any of the ball. He was in the wrong positions as well. Mason Mount's making runs ahead of Mudryk. Like, why? It doesn't make any sense. You're the 8. You're the winger. Why is my 1v1 demon, my new 1v1 demon, on the left wing, but he's dropping into deep positions while Mount is making these weird off the ball runs? Obviously, I don't know. For me, Potter's got to take responsibility. If you've got players in average positions that don't make sense, you got Gallagher as a second striker. Like Tobs says, the gaps between Enzo and the 2 8s was crazy. You got to take responsibility. And in terms of Kai, look, Ziyech, I think maybe he might have been playing for a move before with those good games, and now obviously the window shuts. Let's see how he continues. I'm not really bothered about Ziyech.
He's sweating over FFP because I know agent.
No. City. That's City's business. We're fine. Until FFP.
The Ziyech thing is ridiculous because they're trying to sell him, trying to get him out store, and then he starts. That doesn't make sense.
No, it doesn't.
And that's what you have to look at. That's what you have to look at Potter and who the people behind the scenes at Chelsea, right? Noni, who you actually went out and signed, he doesn't start, right? Mudryk was fucking shit as well. Let's call a spade a spade. The Winter Soldier, or I don't know what your fans are calling him. He was crap. And him getting hooked up.
I think Potter has to take responsibility.
Him getting hooked at halftime was ridiculous, though. I felt like that was kind of harsh.
I think it's because apparently he had a cold, but I think Potter has to take responsibility because the way he had Mason Mount and Gallagher, the positions they were in. Now, whether he told them to come back or not, I don't know. But the positions he had them in, it was stupid.
Mason Mount and Gallagher weren't the reason why Mudryk is losing the ball in vulnerable positions. Yeah.
Yeah, but why is Mudryk in those vulnerable positions? That's my question. Why is it not Mason Mount deeper, and why is it Mudryk there when Mudryk is a winger? Do you ever see Martinelli picking up the ball in on the halfway line? No, you don't. So that's why my question has to go back to the manager. Why is Mudryk that deep? I've seen Pulisic and Sterling, all 3 of these players at different times this season, on the halfway line receiving the ball. Why? We have the possession up against Fulham at home. Why is Mudryk on the halfway line receiving the ball and Mason Mount is making runs down the left channel? So I'm not going to get onto Mudryk because Mudryk has only just come into the league. Mudryk is 21, 22 years old. Mudryk has not played since November in the Ukrainian league, apart from that Anfield cameo. I'm not going to get onto Mudryk for this system that is in place that is not working. The build-up play was shambolic as well. So for me, I'm looking at the manager. He's got to you had 2 weeks off. FA Cup weekend, we were not involved. You had 2 weeks away from with the team. Yes, there are new signings, but there were only 3. Maybe he didn't want to overdo it with new signings. That might be why Madueke didn't start, because he just didn't want to throw everybody in, which is fine. You had 3 new signings in that lineup: in Mudryk, Enzo, and Badiashile. Enzo and Badiashile only brought things to the team. They didn't take nothing away from the team. There should be some sort of, or we need to start seeing in the next few weeks, months, some serious system together where you can see the plan and you can see what it is from first phase, second phase, third phase. I need to see a clear identity going forward. And I also need to see you drop in players that have not been performing the whole season. Like Mason Mount has not been good all season. Apart from like 2-3 game spell when Potter came in, he's been poor. Take him out of the team. He's getting slack on social media. He's getting dragged. He's blocking some Twitter accounts now. CFC Rafa and CSC Dashan, blocking all these people. Clearly getting to him. Take him out of the team. It's not hard. Take him out of the team. So he's got to start making the bold decisions. If you can take Aubameyang out of the Champions League squad and take Mason Mount and put him on the bench against West Ham, he should not be starting. Felix is now not suspended. Felix goes in there. Enzo a bit higher up. Get yourself in that squad someone who can play in the defensive midfield role, even if you have to throw Trevor Chalobah in there. Coach him. That's what he's meant to be doing, right? Coach. You're a coach. Let's coach. And I want to see better. And I need to see people playing in their zones. I don't want to see Mudryk picking up the ball in these areas. Now. Yeah, exactly. Reece James is back, Chilwell. Yeah, exactly.
Sterling there. Listen, I actually agree with you for once. I think that now there wasn't really a hiding place for Potter before. but you could give him some sort of allowance because the injuries you've had are mad. But you're now getting players coming back, and you've improved this team by quite a bit from your January window exploits. So now we got to see. I say we as a fan base. I'm sorry, we as a
that shit.
We as a football community and you as a fan base now need to start seeing something from Graham Potter. Like, you've had all the excuses between now and the end of the season. You, Matisse, and your legion of virgins are refuting all these claims of a super team and we need time, it needs to gel. Okay, cool. I know what I want to see from Chelsea, but based off your expectation for Chelsea, if you're not going to get top 4, if you're not going to win the Champions League, we need to see the style being embedded into this team between now and the end of the season. If we don't see that, if we don't see an upturn in results, then it's scary hours for Graham Potter. Because let's call a spade a spade.
This is not
Thomas
Tuchel.
In black and white, he has been an awful manager for Chelsea. Let's call a spade a spade.
Yeah, he's
black and
horrendous.
white. He's been an awful manager for Chelsea.
Really poor start, 100%. So it's just time, but he's meant to be given long-term results, not short-term games, long-term. So I'm hopefully see it. But this is not Thomas Tuchel. So I hope you understand that when you slag off this manager, it ain't gonna hurt in my heart and soul like it used to. You ain't gonna puncture them wounds. This is a manager that's got to prove himself to the fan base as well. This is like when you guys hired. This is like when you guys hired Nuno. This is like when you guys hired Nuno. This is not your Antonio. This is not that. This is not that at all. I'm like you. I'm also waiting to find out as well. He's a nice manager. He did a good job at Brighton, best ever finished place. But let's see. I'm intrigued. Let's see how it goes. I want to give him the time. Let's see.
Talking about Potter, you can talk over me who you want, but you're not escaping these super team allegations.
We have run out of time.
You're with me on this. They have to get top 4 and they have to get Champions League for that money. Super team.
Yeah.
No, we have run out of time.
Don't go on what you think's gonna happen. Go on what you expect that super team.
I expect minimum top 6, and I expect Champions League each round as it goes. But I expect us to beat Dortmund. Dortmund are not in a good place at the moment. Okay. We should be getting better, not worse. We should be on an upward trajectory by the time we play Dortmund, which is next week.
What do you mean by that? Top 6. What do you mean by that?
What do you mean by what?
What do you mean by top 6?
Europa League minimum. Top 4 is. Like, listen, let me walk before I can run because I'm not going to disrespect. We just lost points this weekend to Brentford and Brighton. So I'm not going to say we're getting top 4 when we can't even catch these teams. We're losing on points on these teams. So we go from there. But listen, we got to wrap up.
Because West London's looking like it's not blue right now. It's black and white.
It's fine. It's been blue the whole time. Do you know what I mean? London's been blue the whole damn time. So let's see how it goes.
Now.
Has London ever been claret and red? No, it hasn't.
Yeah, Lawless. I think claret and red. What? Claret and blue.
Claret and blue, claret and red.
A couple of seasons ago.
But anyway, Lawless, let them know where to find you. Look, see Tobs' Wi-Fi dropping. See, I said, listen, I know what time it is. I know it's time to wrap up.
To Bowley, man. See if he can get some money or Tobs can take that £20 he was flashing around and pay his internet bill. But yeah, you can find me at West Ham Fan TV. Come check out all the content over there. I'm going to try and hook up and do some content with Matisse this week, do a preview or whatever, try and meet up. So look out for that. Preview, watch along and all of that stuff. I'll be on DR on Saturday. Who's on? Who's the Chelsea fan? You?
No.
I don't know.
You might have Sophie Rose. I don't know.
Oh, right. Okay. Yeah. So some Chelsea fan, and I'll be there Saturday.
Yeah. Tobes, what about you, bro? Let them know where to find you before you start running your agendas.
Tapping Tobes on all socials. We've got the THFC show with Fuad tomorrow evening at 7 p.m. So come and check that out. But until then, you can just find me on the gram, YouTube, Twitter, putting pressure on your favorite club.
Matt. Right, guys, make sure you go subscribe. That is finally some good promo by Tobes, man. Make sure you subscribe. The link is in the description. That actually sounds quite entertaining. And yeah, we'll see you guys in a bit. Big up. Peace.